Alright, welcome back. So in the last video, we successfully covered everything that we need to know for now about the grid system, and we covered how we can use it, how we can make rows and columns using divs. And in this video, we are going to start with the code along so you can get better versed with all those things and get a good practice with them. So, and before we start, we actually have a query on the query form, so we're going to see what that is. Alright, so the query is that I'm confused where you were actually adding a picture of banana and an apple, right? So I'm not sure if you remember, but the banana and apple thing was in the CSS, uh, the basic HTML code along, right? So I'm gonna open up that basic code along, or it was an exercise, it was not a code along, and that was in main code.html, right? So I'm gonna everything is kind of linked here, so I'm just gonna repeat and you know exactly tell the exact flow of the code that we are having in this, and that will actually help you clear out like what is happening here, right? So this is simple h1, this is a simple h3, and this is a paragraph. This is just simple text on the page, right? And so now the thing that is the main on the whole page is this UN. So I'll just open this up once. And I'll need to resize this. Yeah, so here's the main code.html. So what this UL and LI are actually doing is simply displaying this on the page, right? That is their only role. They do not have any other role apart from that. Now what this A tag is doing is it is linking this particular text right here named banana to a different file known as list items slash banana.html. Now this list item slash is because our HTML file, if you see here, is not in the same folder. It is in a folder named list items, right? And then banana.html. And same for all the others. So we have a similar syntax for all of them. So we are linking to different HTML files in the same file, right? And that is because if we click here, we're going to a different page. This is not the same page. This is a different page, and that is why our main images are not added in this main code.html. However, our images are added here. If I open this up, I see this is a different HTML page altogether, and these two would not be related in any way if this A tag was not referring to this, right? And then we have added an image. Now this source is a source picked up from Google Images, which is of a banana. If I open this, I see this represents a banana image, right? So that is what is happening here. And we have the title, okay, that's fine. So the main thing is this image source. This is where the image of the banana is coming from. And similarly for all the other things, if I open up Apple, right? Everything is same except this source here. This refers to an apple, right? Then now if I go to line.html, this image refers to a line and everything else is still the same. Again, for tiger.html, this image refers to a tiger and everything else is the same. So that is all that is happening in this particular set of code. Now everything else, all the tags h1, h3, p and s and all of them are just simply for putting text on the page, right? That is their only use. So that was it. If you have any other problem in this, let me know. Yeah, right. So now let me first show you what we're gonna do. I'll close this. We're gonna make this, and this is actually quite simple looking, but the thing is that this is made with Bootstrap to a large extent. Only a small amount of things are done with custom CSS, and it uses the grid system. And that is the most important thing out of all of these, to get a good practice for the grid system. So this is nothing, this is just an image gallery, and I've added 6 images for football that I took from Unsplash, right? And there are a couple of new things here. Only one new thing, I think, as far as new technologies are concerned, which is this thing and this thing right here. So these are icons, and you do not know how to add icons just yet, and we'll see that in this code along only, right? Now the special thing about this image grid is that you can see there are 3 in one row right now, but if I downsize this, now there are 2 in one row, and if I downsize this further, all of them stack above one another. And even if I make this completely small for the mobile view, it still looks pretty good, and that's exactly what we wanted. And we have this nice navbar button up here. That is actually not something we have to do by ourselves. That is all thanks to Bootstrap, right? So let's just start with this website. So the first thing, right. So the first thing we can do is we can add a basic HTML boilerplate. And before that, we need to save this. Let's save this as gridsolution.html. Right. So you might want to do something like this, right? And this is perfectly fine, no problem. But the thing is that you saw how this was collapsing, right? And this will collapse anyway, no matter what you do. If you are taking a navbar bootstrap, this icon will appear at all times, because that they have done through their normal things. But to actually make this work, you need to have the bootstrap JavaScript included too. And don't worry with JavaScript word right here. You don't have to write any JavaScript. You only have to include their JavaScript file in your file. And including a JavaScript file is pretty similar to including a CSS file. If you had to do something like link for a CSS file, you would do something like a script with src, the same thing, except the href, you have the src here, which refers to source, just like the image. And then inside this, you can have the name or the path of your JavaScript file, which is, let's say, my file.js. So by this, you would be linking to a file, JavaScript file named myfile.js. And normally, you would have script tags at the end of the body, because you want your JavaScript to work after all of the content has loaded on the page. So this is the only thing you need to know about the script tag for now, that this is how you link JavaScript files, right? However, if you're gonna link a different CSS file up here and different script file up here, you could do that, that's not a problem. But there's a better way to that we go to getbootstrap.com, we go to the documentation, and in the getting started portion, we can have a starter template right here. Now this is the template that Bootstrap recommends we use, because it has the Bootstrap CSS already included through CDN, and it has all the JavaScript files that we need already included. What you can do is you can simply copy this, and instead of this, you can paste that. And now we have all our Bootstrap included, all the necessary Bootstrap included, and we can simply start making the content of the page, right? So the first thing we can add is this navbar, and for that you can go to components, navbar, and in this project we're actually going to see the workflow that you normally have in a Bootstrap web page. And I've referred to the Bootstrap docs twice already, and I've just started, right? So I'm going to take this sample navbar right here, the first one, and I'm going to paste this. I'm going to paste this here, and now I can open my page in the browser. This is actually a lot of code, and that's why I'm preferring not to use a split screen kind of thing here. Right, so yeah, so there are a couple of problems here. The first is that this starter template gives us hello world as the title, which is not what we want. We want image grid, and we do not need this h1 for now. And now if I refresh, I see I have this navbar and it's actually working fine. That is because the JavaScript is included too. And we have all the sample things that we always have in our Bootstrap navbars, right? So now the next thing that I want to do is I want to get this navbar to look like this first, except this small icon right here. We'll add that in the end. So yep. So I need only these two links, as you can see here, these two, and I need to remove all the other things. So if I go here, I do not need this drop down. So I'll click on this li. The ending li gets highlighted. I select all of it. I remove it. The next thing is this disabled button. This is the li representing that. I'll remove that. And the form represents the search bar. I'll remove that. So now I have my two links here, and I need this link to be about me. And just so you know, this about me isn't working. This is just something that I added in the navbar to make it look a little real, you could say. So this changes to about me. So the next thing is this is black and this is white. So that you can do through changing this to navbar dark and this to be really dark. Now you see we have the exact same navbar here, except this icon, everything is like we want it to be. So now the next thing we can do is, if you notice, everything here is not taking up the full page. And if you remember the last video, this is with the help of something that is necessary for the grid system too, which is the container. So after the navbar, I'll make some space, yeah, and I'll add my container, right? So now everything I need goes inside the container. And just to check everything is working, I'll add a simple h1 saying hello. And I see this does not come at the extreme left, means our container is working. So now I want to introduce a new class of Bootstrap, which you might use a lot. Yeah, right. So here you see that I have this gray background and stuff, and this, this looks like a good header, and you could make a div, and then you could style it by yourself by adding this background, but you do not need to, do that much work, because we simply have this really nice and really used class known as Jumbotron. This is a Bootstrap class, and now if I refresh just now, I'll see I get my Jumbotron here. Usually you could have an image in the Jumbotron too, that's not a very big problem. That's actually what a lot of people do. So we have this here and we can add our h1 saying the image gallery. And we get our h1 here. And you see that this Jumbotron is actually of flexible height, so you can add as much content as you want in here, and it will adjust itself according to that, which is cool. Alright, so again, I'm not gonna add this icon just now, and so the next thing we can start working on is actually these images. And as I said, these images are from Unsplash. So let's just go and first get our image, then we'll start with our, I do not want Harry Potter, I need football. Now of course you can take any image, that's never a problem. And I mean, I have adjusted this image to be of the same height, as we will see by the end of our code along. And you could do that to any image, that's not a problem, but you don't want to resize this image to this size. You don't want to resize this image to this size, because that will actually, or the reverse, because that will reduce the quality by a lot. So what you can do is you can choose your orientation up here. Like I chose landscape, right? So now I have all the landscape images and they're more or less the same size, even if they are a little different. We can adjust them to be the same by a simple CSS property, which is the height, right? All right. So, okay, now we have our images. First, let's add our basic structure for the page. And the basic structure is going to be added through our grid system. We'll have a row, inside which we'll have a column. Now we see that when we are on extra small and small size, we have both of them on the same, all of them on different lines, right? So that needs to be a column 12. And remember, if we haven't put any size, it is by default excess. And everything above that is selected due to Bootstrap's properties. And if you see here, then in the medium one, like this is large, and this right here, this is the medium breakpoint. So in the medium, we have two images on one row, on one horizontal level. So that should be column medium 6. And then we've taken care of this. We've taken care of this. And now from large onwards, we want this to be 3 images per horizontal level. And one level, as I told you in the intro, is it has 12 units. So for 3 images, you will have a column large 4. So 4 and 4 and 4 will make 12 overall. So now this is the class that we need to for all of these images, right? And then we can simply add our image. And let me take this. This. All right, I'll copy image address. I'll paste this, and in the alt, I'll just say football image. All right, so I'll refresh. But I mean, we don't have 3 images right now. If I do something like that again, you'll have a better idea of what I'm gonna say now. All right, so now I have 3 images, and you see they're not styled at all, and they're of really big size, and that is because they are kind of overshooting the area allotted to them. So you can, and here you can see they have a border too. And let me tell you, I've not added this border by myself. This again is through a Bootstrap class. And I already know what that is, but to show you, I'm going to search for thumbnail here. And this is what thumbnail is. This just makes a 200 by 200 image for us. It resizes the image according to our need. And then it adds this light border by itself. So all we have to do is make a class of image thumbnail inside every image. So I'll remove both of these for once. And I'll do class image thumbnail. Now if I refresh, I see this is perfectly styled and this is taking up exactly 1/3 of the space as it should. So now if I duplicate this, and we have 6 images on a page, so I'm going to duplicate this 5 times now. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah. And if I refresh, I get all my images here. So now we can just, quickly change all the images to what we want them to be. I'll randomly take images now. I'm not going to take the same ones. So yeah, this is what I have. And I'm going to all right. I'm going to take another image, this one. And I'm going to select the next one. And let me take this, even though this is not the football I'm talking about. But that doesn't matter. Then I'll select this one. The next, I can select the last one, which is this, and I paste this. And now if I refresh, I see I get my 6 images here. Now this one is obviously it's evidently of more height than the other two in its row, and that does not look good. So what we can do is we can go into our CSS file. Alright, so we're gonna save this as, let's say, grid solution.css, and I'm gonna link to it in here after the bootstrap, remember. So I'm gonna do link grid solution.css, and in here I'm gonna select the image thumbnail, and I can do height 100%. So this will force the images to actually take the complete height that is allotted to them. And due to this, both of these get stretched, and now they're at the same level at this bottom as well as top, and that makes them look good, right? So now it looks much better than before, when it was just these two till this level and this one till this complete level. So we see that we have actually made what we were aiming for in like really short time. I think it's like 20 to 22 minutes, I guess. And the only thing we have left is these two icons right here. So that I'll cover in the next video. The next video will be really short, but we will finish this image gallery in that one, right? So that's it for this one. I'll see you there. Bye.